Think about the worst person you've ever worked for. Not incompetent, worst. Not bumbling, malicious. The person who smiled to your face and destroyed your reputation behind your back, who took credit for your work and made you doubt your own sanity, who seemed to violate every rule of human decency, yet somehow kept getting promoted. Now, here's what should terrify you. That person wasn't winning despite being awful. They were winning because they were willing to be awful. On December 11, 2008, federal agents arrested Bernie Madoff for orchestrating the largest Ponzi scheme in history. He had stolen $65 billion from thousands of investors, pension funds, charities, Holocaust survivors. When caught, he showed no remorse, only annoyance at being exposed. But here's what most people miss. Madoff wasn't a fool. He was chairman of NASDAQ. He sat on SEC advisory panels. He was brilliant, strategic, and, according to research, scored on all 10 characteristics of corporate psychopathy. He's not an outlier. Research shows that psychopaths are 4 times more likely to be in leadership positions than in the general population. Not because they're accidentally succeeding, because they're optimized for it. Over 500 years ago, Niccolò Machiavelli discovered something that would make him the most hated philosopher in Europe. He identified why the worst people don't just occasionally win, they always win. And he explained it using a concept so disturbing that we've spent 5 centuries trying to pretend he didn't mean it. Today, we're going to explore why predators rise faster than everyone else, why morality is a competitive handicap, and what modern psychology reveals about the people at the top. Al Dunlap, nicknamed Chainsaw Al, became one of the highest-paid CEOs in America during the 1990s. His strategy? Ruthless cost-cutting that destroyed companies from the inside. He would take over a corporation, fire thousands of employees, sell off assets, and temporarily boost stock prices. Shareholders loved him. Workers called him a psychopath. Research would later confirm they were right. Robert Maxwell built a media empire in Britain. Charming, brilliant, politically connected. After his death, investigators discovered he'd stolen hundreds of millions of dollars from employee pension funds. The companies he led eventually collapsed, leaving thousands impoverished. Ken Lay and Jeffrey Skilling at Enron created a culture where financial manipulation was rewarded and questioning was punished. They weren't incompetent. They were strategic predators who understood exactly what they were doing. Notice the pattern? These are calculating individuals who know they're breaking rules, exploiting people, and causing destruction, and they don't care. Have you ever worked with someone like this? Someone who seemed to understand exactly how to manipulate systems and people, who showed no guilt when caught, who always had an explanation that made you question your own perception of reality. That's a specific psychological profile, and our systems are selecting for it. Here's what should disturb you. Every single one of these successful psychopathic leaders eventually destroyed what they touched. Enron? Bankruptcy. WorldCom? Bankruptcy. Sunbeam? Bankruptcy. Maxwell's Mirror Group? Collapsed. Madoff Investment? Complete fraud. Research found a clear pattern. Organizations led by corporate psychopaths experience increased bullying, staff withdrawal, decreased revenue, and eventual bankruptcy or collapse. But by the time these organizations failed, the psychopaths had often moved on to their next victim. They extracted what they needed, destroyed what they touched, and left others to clean up the wreckage. So, why do they keep getting hired? That's what Machiavelli understood. Machiavelli wrote The Prince as an anthropological study of what actually works in acquiring and maintaining power. And what he discovered was shocking. Traditional virtues, honesty, compassion, fairness, don't just fail to help you gain power, they actively prevent it. He introduced a concept called virtù. It doesn't mean virtue. It means being effective at power, through any means necessary. As Machiavelli wrote, a prince must act in defiance of good faith, of charity, of kindness, and of religion when necessary. He must know how to do evil if that is necessary. Not might have to do evil, but know how to do evil as a skill, a craft, something you master. This is evil as expertise. To illustrate, Machiavelli pointed to Cesare Borgia. When Borgia faced rebellion from his captains, he invited them to peace negotiations, then arrested and executed them all. Problem solved. Power secured. Machiavelli's assessment? Brilliant leadership. Borgia only failed due to bad luck. His father died unexpectedly, undermining his power base. The strategy was perfect. Fortune just didn't cooperate. Machiavelli explicitly advises, a prince should carefully calculate all the wicked deeds he needs to do to secure his power and then execute them all in one stroke. In this way, his subjects will slowly forget his cruel deeds. This isn't impulsive cruelty. This is premeditated, strategic evil. The complete strategy: be ruthless in private, charming in public. Master both cruelty and its concealment. Have you ever worked for someone who seemed perfect in meetings but destroyed people behind closed doors? That's Machiavellian virtù in action. The terrifying truth: being good at being evil is a competitive advantage. Psychologists identified 3 personality traits that create the dark triad. Narcissism, inflated self-importance, craves admiration, lacks empathy. They believe their own mythology and need to be admired. Machiavellianism, strategic manipulation over the long term. They create political environments where loyalty matters more than performance. Every interaction is a calculated move toward a long-term objective. Psychopathy. This is what distinguishes the worst from merely bad. Psychopaths display shallow emotions and severely limited empathy. They make impulsive, high-risk decisions affecting others' livelihoods without hesitation. They use punishment rather than empowerment to motivate. But here's what makes them uniquely dangerous. They feel no guilt, no remorse, no emotional cost to their actions. Imagine being able to destroy someone's career and feeling nothing, not even the nagging discomfort most people experience when they hurt someone accidentally. That's not a character flaw, that's a competitive advantage. Imagine 2 people competing for the same promotion. Person A is constrained by morality. They can't lie about their accomplishments, can't sabotage their competitor, can't manipulate their boss, can't take credit for others' work. Person B, a psychopath, has all those strategies available and experiences no emotional cost to using them. Who wins? This is the moral handicap. In competitive systems, morality is a set of constraints, and constraints limit your options. A meta-analysis of 45 experiments with over 18,000 participants found that competition has a negative effect on moral behavior. But here's the crucial detail. It's not the winners who become more immoral, it's the losers. Translation: the people at the top didn't become immoral because power corrupted them. They got to the top because they were already willing to be immoral. Bernie Madoff could look investors in the eye, people who trusted him with their life savings, and lie without a flicker of emotion. Al Dunlap could fire thousands of workers right before Christmas and feel nothing but satisfaction at the cost savings. That's not happening despite their success. That's enabling their success. If psychopaths eventually destroy everything they touch, why do they keep getting selected for leadership? First, short-term metrics trump long-term health. Organizations measure what's easy to measure: quarterly profits, stock prices, immediate results. Psychopaths excel at delivering short-term results through ruthless efficiency. Fire half the workforce, immediate cost savings. Slash SR&D, instant profit boost. By the time long-term consequences emerge, the psychopath has been promoted. Chainsaw Al perfected this. He'd take over a company, fire thousands, boost stock price temporarily, collect bonuses, and move on before the collapse. The system kept rewarding him. Second, the ASA spiral. Organizational psychologists describe the attraction, selection, attrition model. When a psychopath leads, it becomes a death spiral. Toxic leaders attract similar personalities. They hire and promote people who enable their toxicity. Ethical people leave or are pushed out. The result? Successful toxic cultures that become self-sustaining. The organization becomes an ecosystem of darkness. Third, the promotion of toxicity. When superiors see short-term success, they promote the toxic leader to greater responsibility. This magnifies their destructive impact. Other ambitious people observe that toxicity works. The organization begins systematically selecting for darkness. Elizabeth Holmes created a board of politically powerful but scientifically ignorant men who couldn't challenge her. She fired employees who raised concerns and threatened questioners with lawsuits. That's strategic isolation of accountability. Adam Newman at WeWork surrounded himself with loyalists and pushed out anyone who questioned his vision. Ken Lay at Enron created a culture where manipulation was rewarded and integrity was punished. This is the pattern. There's a pattern to how this ends. Stage 1. The honeymoon. The psychopath arrives with charisma and a change agenda. Short-term metrics improve. Everyone thinks they've discovered a visionary leader. Stage 2. The reality. Bullying increases. Talented people leave. Innovation stops. The psychopath blames external factors while the organization hemorrhages talent. Stage 3. The collapse. Eventually, reality asserts itself. Enron, bankruptcy. WorldCom, bankruptcy. Sunbeam, bankruptcy. Theranos, exposed as fraud. Research is clear. Organizations led by corporate psychopaths eventually fail and/or go bankrupt. They destroy human capital, driving out talented individuals. Short-term thinking hollows out the foundation. Eventually, there's no one left to exploit. But when these organizations collapse, the psychopaths usually escape relatively unscathed. Madoff operated for decades before prison. Many executives walked away wealthy. Meanwhile, investors, pension funds, pension holders, and other stakeholders are impoverished, often severely. How do you recognize a corporate psychopath? Researcher Clive Boddy identified key characteristics. Charming, but with shallow emotions. They turn charm on and off like a switch. Pathological lying, even when truth would work. Grandiose sense of self-worth, believing rules don't apply. Lack of remorse or empathy. Other people are tools, not humans. Failure to accept responsibility. Always someone else's fault. If someone displays multiple these traits, trust your instincts. Individual level. Document everything in writing. Build external networks. They'll try to isolate you. Understand this truth. There is no dealing with a corporate psychopath. You need to get out. You cannot fix them. Organizational level. Implement 360-degree reviews, including subordinate feedback. Track long-term outcomes, not just quarterly metrics. Create anonymous reporting channels. Identify potential psychopaths before they ascend to power. Systemic level. Question what your systems measure and reward. If you only count results and ignore methods, you're selecting for psychopaths. Build cultures that reward collaboration over competition. Create transparency. Psychopaths thrive in opacity. Until we change what we select for, we'll keep getting predators in positions of power. 500 years ago, Machiavelli described virtù, the art of effective ruthlessness. Today, we call it psychopathy. The name changed, the pattern didn't. The worst people rise to the top because our systems are designed to elevate them. We measure what's easy instead of what matters. We reward short-term gains over long-term health. But here's the hope. Every psychopathically led organization eventually collapses. Evil is self-limiting. It consumes everything, including itself. The question is whether we'll keep rebuilding the same systems that select for darkness, or whether we'll finally design structures that reward what we actually value. because the worst people will always exist. But whether they rise to the top, that's a choice we make collectively through the systems we build and the behaviors we reward. So here's my challenge. Look at your organization. What does it select for? What behaviors does it reward? And if it's systematically elevating predators, what are you willing to do about it? The worst people rise to the top because we've built escalators for them. Maybe it's time to redesign the building. If this video disturbed you, share it with someone who needs to understand why their toxic boss keeps getting promoted. And remember, recognizing evil isn't the same as endorsing it. Machiavelli was teaching you to survive in a world that creates monsters. Stay vigilant, stay ethical, and never confuse winning with being right.